we are going to do some plug additions. So with the 3D printers you guys are setting up, you'll have that blower on the side. Eventually we're probably going to switch back to this setup where this fan shroud hooks on the front and blows all the way around the nozzles. Either way, if we put the plug in, it's easy to switch between the two. For now, we'll just worry about the wiring side of it. So how this works, you pull yourself out a little bit of wire. You don't want to get too much because then you just got to put it back in to make sure it doesn't get tangled. But we want it to be about the same length, so I'm going to trim this down a little bit because my red wire is a little longer. So now I'm going to work on adding the plugs. So you can get a fancy stripper for these little plastic pieces, but if you kind of twist the piece without really clamping down all the way, eventually you can just get a hold of it and just rip the tip off. We don't need much metal showing. In fact, if you look, there isn't that much. Maybe a couple millimeters. And we don't need too much because of our crimp on how the things clamp on there. Do the same thing to the red. Now on these wires that lead up the hose to the controller, so these aren't the wires connected to the fan, these are the wire that goes to the controller, we want the female plug. So if we look, they're very small pieces, easy to drop and lose. We should have plenty of extras, but you can see the two pieces here. So you got the female plug and the male plug, and these two fit together like so. Okay? So when you look inside of it though, look on the inside, it'll end up, so you can see the holes on the male plug are really small, and those will actually end up being the female receiving ports that go in, female receiving pins. So the male port has female pins and the female port has male pins, and these pins are on this little stamped metal chain. So you just break, in this case, two off just by bending it at the base. And then I'm going to need some male pins. Alright, so just again, same thing. Break it off at the base. Just to show you the difference between the male and female pin. You can see the male has a really long, thin cross section, and of course the female has the hole that the pin sticks into. So you bring this to the wire. This is going to be really hard to show on the camera. So, but basically on these there are two crimps. So if I can get the point width. So the one that the tip of the pliers by doesn't crimp the copper, it crimps the whole plastic sheath and the copper wire. This bottom one just crimps the wire, and that's what does the connectivity, and then the rest gets plugged in. So we're just going to put both female pins, or no, sorry, not female, going backwards, because we want the female port, the female plug, to be coming from the machine controller. So the fan has a male pin. So female plug from the controller. So the female plug gets the male pin, and using a needle nose pliers of some sort, here we go, you can crimp these over. Alright, don't fret if it takes you a little bit. It takes some practice. The real trick is to fold over. You have two pieces of metal you fold over one at a time with the pliers, and then when you're done, give it a good solid pinch. That should keep it from sliding out. So now that I got that on there, I can grab my female plug with the male pins. Now, if you look towards the base here, see how it says some numbers there? You have a 1 and a 2. So it says JST 1 and 2. The red goes in the 1 position, the black goes in the 2. And if you look at the plug, you can see how there's a little notch out of one side. It's kind of hard to see in the camera, but it's a square hole with a notch on one side. That notch goes to where there's a little hook on the pin, just a little piece of metal sticking out. So I'm going to make sure in spot 1 I put the red hook in it, and then you should push it until you hear a snap, and you won't be able to pull it back out. So, and you do the same thing with the black. You might have to mess with the plastic a little bit, or sorry, the crimps on the end. When I squeeze them flat, they kind of they don't press in very well. So you might have to help them go in all the way. This keeps them from hitting each other, which causes short, and it also makes sure your pins will contact with the other plug fully. So once you have those in far enough, you're sure there's no metal touching, you are done with the female plug side. Now it's time to do the male, and it's a lot easier because the fan is free. I'm just going to repeat the process. I'm going to do so off camera.